So let's just say for a second, heaven forbid you're out riding your 2018 or later Honda Goldwing, and maybe a rock flies up from the road and hits one of your radiators. Maybe it could punch a hole in the radiator, or maybe it just bends those fins, and over time those bent fins may cause things to overheat. Let's talk about that.
This video is sponsored by Cruiseman's Garage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Video Series.
So recently, one of my YouTube viewers sent me an email about a product that I was vaguely aware of, but I really didn't know anything about it. And it is a radiator guard from a company called Panical. Now, I reached out to them, and they did send me a set of these to review and to test. Now, just to let you know up front, the video is not sponsored by Panical. They're not paying me to say wonderful things about this product. At the time I ordered these, I don't even think these were available on Amazon. I think you had to order them through AliExpress or some other international order site. But now they are available on Amazon. And they are basically, it's a metal screen that is designed to protect your radiator. So, and of course, there's a left and a right side so that you mount these so that if a rock or some object comes up and rather than striking your radiator, it would hopefully be deflected by these metal screens. The installation seems to be fairly straightforward and simple. I'm going to go out to the garage and I'm going to put it on my 2018 Goldwing just so we can see how they work and how they look. Now, they sent me the black unit. I'm not sure if these are painted or if they're powder coated. They feel powder coated to me. They feel pretty sturdy. It feels like, it's well made. It feels strong. So if you're interested in these radiator guards for your 2018 Plus Honda Goldwing, I'm going to put a link in the description of this video where you can order these through my Amazon page. And they are available in black or silver. So just depending on your particular taste, I prefer the black because everything in that area of the motorcycle is black already, and you wouldn't really even notice they're there. I do like the idea of these offering some protection. It's a good idea. I'm surprised Honda doesn't put something like this on the bike from the factory. I'm surprised they leave the radiator kind of hanging out there. For the money, I think it's probably a good protective measure. But nevertheless, let's get out to the garage. Let's put these on my bike and then let you know what we think about them. So let's take a quick look up underneath the front of my motorcycle. You can see one of the radiators here, or both the radiators if we look at both sides. And you can see they're pretty exposed. Anything could fly up and just take out some of those fins or even puncture the radiator itself. Installation of this radiator cover is pretty straightforward. We're going to use these two plastic rivets to hold in one flange of that radiator cover, and then there's a couple of bolts that are going to hold the other flange to this structure here. Let's start by popping out those plastic rivets. Just simply punch in on the center of them with a pick or a small screwdriver, and then you can pry up the edge of those rivets and usually use your fingernail to lift them out. Now, if you look closely at the plastic rivet, you'll see where we punched in that little post, and that unlocks the rivet. You can reset this by just pushing up on that post so that it protrudes from the base like it's shown here, and we'll need to do that before we reinstall these rivets. So next we want to slip this into place, and the easiest way to do this is look for the logo, that little cutout logo on the radiator cover, and slip it in first like I'm doing here, and that will get it to fit up past all of these little plastic pieces, and then you can kind of rotate it up into position like I'm doing here. Now you'll notice a couple of things. You have this installed correctly if the logo is facing down, if it's at the very bottom, and you'll notice a little scooped out place in the plastic, and there's a little curved area on this radiator cover that kind of fits or matches up to that little scooped out area. And you'll notice the two holes in the flange will match up to those two holes left from those plastic rivets that we removed earlier. Let's go ahead and reinstall those plastic rivets and punch the center in to lock them in place. And we'll do that for both of those rivets, and then we can install our nuts and our bolts. Those two rivets should be enough to hold this shield in place while we install our nuts and bolts. And you'll see this other flange here that's lining up with some holes in that little piece of plastic. And you might need to move it around a little to get it to line up to those holes. Here I'm inserting one of the 4mm bolts that comes in the kit. And then I'm going to attach the little lock nut. This is one of the lock nuts that comes in the kit, and we'll go ahead and install that on the inside. Now I'm just starting this with my fingers, getting a few turns on the thread. You're working in a pretty tight space here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 4mm Allen key, and it does really take one of the little short ones like this to fit in between the head of that bolt and that radiator screen or grate or grill, whatever you want to call it. And I'm using a 10mm wrench on the lock nut, which is on the inside. You can't see it from this position. And once I have the top one tightened down, I'm going to go ahead and put the nut on the back side of the lower bolt. Now I'm using a little ratcheting wrench here, but you don't have to. You could just hold that nut with the 10mm open end and turn the Allen key to tighten. Here you can see what that radiator grill protector cover looks like after it's been installed. We have the two bolts up on the top right of your picture and the two rivets on the left side. And it feels pretty secure. It feels like it's in there pretty well. It obviously looks like it does provide a certain degree of protection. There you can see those lock nuts that are on the back side of those little 4mm bolts. Let me know in the comments down below if you believe this radiator protection is worth the expense. It's pretty easy to install. The only downside I see potentially is when it comes time to remove that inner cowl. You will have to remove those. You have to remove the two rivets anyway. I think you can probably leave those two bolts and nuts connected, and you could still get the inner cowl out without taking this entire thing off. I haven't tried that yet, but I think maybe you could get that inner cowl out. Like I said earlier, these are available through Amazon, through my Amazon page. I'll put links in the description of this video if you're interested. Let's get back to the studio. Now, if you like this video, do me a favor, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Cruiseman's Reviews.